Hi, everybody. This is your local realtor, Lori Beulah with Real Living Volpini Realty Group. And I am here today with Judge Scott Hunter, and he is from Hunter Stevens Title Company. And he is actually, his company, his agency is the last piece of the puzzle. Over the past several weeks, I've done a series of virtual home buying seminars, and I started with a lender all the way down to closing. And so Judge Scott Hunter is the last piece of the puzzle that you're going to need to actually close the deal and get the keys to your new house. So I just wanted to introduce you, and you tell me about yourself, about the title company, and anything a buyer and seller is going to need to know about the closing process.
Thank you, Laura. It's appreciate the opportunity to be with you. I think what you're doing is a marvelous service to help people gain a greater understanding of what can seem a very intimidating and difficult process. I think that it goes without saying, when you work with a licensed real estate professional, a very complicated process is made easy, whether you're selling or whether you're buying. I know there are times when people will try to think that they can cut the corner, and I don't think it ever works very well for them.
That's correct.
Working with a professional real estate agent on both, when you're, as I say, when you're selling or when you're buying, is always a tremendous benefit to the individual.
Yes.
What our office does, and my name is Scott Hunter. My business partner's Robert Stevens. We're both attorneys, and we've owned Hunter Stevens Land Title Agency together since March of 1998. Wow. It's amazing how time flies, except during a pandemic.
Right.
Our job is a process that is towards the begin. We're both at the beginning and primarily at the end. In the beginning, once a purchase agreement has been signed, a seller and buyer working with real estate professionals have come to a proposed transaction.
Right.
Our first job is to run a title examination, and we are to clear the title. In other words, we are to make sure that if I'm selling my house to Lori doesn't want to buy my house and take title and have a mortgage to Huntington Bank still on the property, or a judgment lien to a creditor, or to have some type of title issue other than what would be routine matters that are to the benefit of the property, such as an easement for utilities, or an easement for sewer, or restrictions for the neighbor. Many subdivisions have restrictions that just basically say it must be a residential neighborhood. You can't build a car wash next to somebody's house in a neighborhood. So what our first task is to examine the title at the courthouse and to make sure that title is going to be clear and that all parties understand what has to be done to clear it. It is our responsibility to clear that title. So when we're performing the title and escrow services, it's different stages. When we run a title examination and say that discloses a mortgage on the house, we will then reach out to the seller, having been provided contact information by the real estate agents, and we'll ask the seller to assist us in knowing what the account number is for that loan, ask the seller to sign a document that permits their lender to give me a written payoff, because we have to verify all payoffs directly from my office to the lender. We cannot rely upon an individual saying, here's my payoff. We've got to get that directly from the lender for obvious reasons. And that's that stage of the process. We're going to clear that title to make sure everything is okay. We're going to make sure that everybody who's entitled is signing, that if they have a spouse, the spouse is signing. But at the end of the day, we're going to insure that title. We're going to issue an owner's title insurance policy, which insures the purchaser in the amount of the sale price and insures the lender in the amount of the loan, and also insures the lender that they are the first lien on that property.
Okay.
So the first stage is the title examination. Early in that process, we then will have the sellers come in and sign the deed, other related documents, so that we have those in the file, because frequently, it is always the case that the lenders control when the transaction is going to close.
Okay, right.
Purchase agreement is going to establish a date when it has to close by, but the lenders really govern when it's going to close. And there are times when it can be on relatively short notice that the lender says, calls on Tuesday and says, you have a clear to close, we'd like it to close Thursday. The reason we get the deed signed in advance by the sellers is because of the fact that those loans can come up to close on short notice. If that seller's away on business or on vacation, it can become a problem. But if we get the deed signed early, Well, then we have that in the file. We hold that deed, what is called an escrow. In other words, it does not get released for recording until such time as the transaction is closed and the purchaser's funds are in our account. Later in the process, once we get all that early stuff done, we also send a preliminary title commitment, which is basically a document that shows what the title looks like, any liens, any restrictions, any easements. So that's part of the lender's analysis in the underwriting portion of their work to make sure that it's a clear title and that there aren't any outstanding issues.
Right.
And that the title can be cleared and will be cleared.
Okay.
And when the lender then subsequently, as they move through the process, they will contact our office and ask us to prepare a closing disclosure. The closing disclosure actually is the lender's document, but we prepare a portion of that document in terms of title fees, tax expirations, things of that nature. Then that is forwarded to the lender. Once the lender has reviewed that and approved that document, then the lender will approve the closing date to be set and will release the closing documents to my office. Our office then is responsible for getting that transaction closed, the date and the time that the lender has instructed us to close it, and to get the documents recorded at the courthouse. That process, I've done this for, Hunter Stevens has been around since 98. I've done this since 88. And it's a very straightforward process that works very smoothly. Again, I will say, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it is a process that when you're working with a licensed real estate professional is much, much smoother, very, very professional, very directed, very focused, as opposed to when you don't, which it can get a little, it's rather confusing.
Right.
The closing process itself, what would happen, the lender would give us the instruction to go ahead and close. My office is responsible for contacting the purchaser and saying that here are the balance of the funds that are due. And then there are certain methods of payment that we can accept. Anything from $1,000 up to $10,000 can be a certified check. Anything $10,000 or higher under Ohio law, under the good funds legislation, has to be a wire transfer. So those are, you want to get that information out as soon as you can. Prior to the pandemic, there's always urgency to it, but now with the pandemic and having to make appointments for banking, there's a real urgency to get that number out so that someone can, the purchaser can get to their local bank, get an appointment made, and get the wire transfer. We forward wiring instructions, but can get that wire initiated and into our account. The recording of documents has always been a timing issue. If you have a late afternoon closing, that will record the next day. If you have morning closing, it can record the same day. Now, again, during the pandemic, business is a little bit different. The counties have different rules, different hours now. They are slowly opening up more, but I have not, in my experience so far, we've not found that there is a great difficulty in getting documents recorded. You just, for example, in Trumbull County, there's a Dropbox. And normally our individual who is our recording person would physically take the deed to the auditor, take the deed mortgage to the recorder, check all the other documents in the clerk of courts, et cetera, and then record. In Trumbull County, you drop the package off and they take it from the Dropbox. The county employees take care of the recording of it, then mail it back to us. But they're very efficient in Trumbull County. They do a really good job. And we've not noticed any delays where it's, you drop it off on a Monday and that doesn't record till Wednesday. They really are very conscientious about getting things on record right away. Columbiana County, Mahoning County, you're still able to go to the courthouse yourself. It's just, they have some limited hours. In Mahoning County, the auditor's office will not accept a deed for transfer after 1 o'clock. Got to be there. Got to be there in the morning, but it's worked out. It's really not been an issue. We have to pay very close attention to these things now, that part of the pandemic that we didn't have to used to worry about. And then once that transaction is closed, we issue those title insurance policies. We insure the purchaser as to the clear title and the purchase price, as I mentioned, and then the lender with the loan. We forward the purchaser their original deed once it's released by the recorder's office to my office, and we normally include in that letter a final title insurance policy so that the purchaser has all that for their records.
And there you have it. That is that is the most simplistic way that I've heard it explained so that Because really, and I will say this, during all this time, it's mostly the title company talking to the lender and keeping the real estate professionals up to date. Is there anything that the seller and the buyer needs to do to stay on top of it? I always tell my buyers, check your emails, or my seller, check your email, because sometimes an email gets sent and it gets lost in everybody's email. Just stay on top of documents that a lot of times get emailed. Is that correct?
Yes, Lloyd. I think you make a great point. I think communication
Mm-hmm.
is the key to the process. I think that having cell numbers, having home numbers, work
Yeah.
numbers, email address, the more the more opportunities we have to get a hold of somebody, the easier the process can be.
Right.
And I think, again, it's another example when you're working with a real estate agent, that real estate professional up front is going to explain to the seller and the buyer, I need this information. Here's why. There are people that are going to be contacting you, whether it's a lender to schedule an appraisal, whether it's a title company to get the deed signed, whether it's a title company to tell you, hey, you're closing on this day, and here's how much money you have to bring to the table. And another new facet is that a number of lenders, not every lender, but a number of lenders are allowing for certain documents in the closing package to be signed by the purchaser via the internet.
Yeah.
Either DocuSign or Dotloop. Not every lender does it. And it's the only criticism I would have of any lender is that with everything going on, lenders, I think, need to be more cognizant in terms of embracing this technology, because it makes the process simpler for their customer.
Right.
There are certain documents that the lender is always going to require with a wet or original signature, such as the promissory note, the mortgage, any document that is in the lender's closing package that has to be notarized, such as a signature affidavit or name affidavit, things of that nature. But when you're able to do things electronically, you may come to our office, and a lot of people are nervous right now about going, and we have to overcome that, and people need to feel more confident that things are going to get better, and that offices such as my own or others are taking every step available. We sanitize after anyone's been in the conference room. I stay at a 12-foot distance. But really we're wearing masks. We're doing everything that the governor and Dr. Acton are telling us to. But one of the things that's important to note is that if it is a lender that allows for electronic signatures, then instead of coming in and having 25 documents to sign, you may come in and have 5 or 6.
Right.
It means that the closing process is going to be
cut down significantly. Yes.
So I thank the lenders that are doing that, because I think it's very, very effective. And I encourage any lender, not that anyone's going to listen to me, but I encourage any lender to embrace that technology, because it really is helpful to the consumer.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I guess this is part of that new normal that everybody's talking about. And some people are very resistant to technology because there have been issues with technology when it doesn't work right. But for the most part, when people are buying and selling their houses, everything is according to date, and there's deadlines. And so we don't want to have to extend a contract or amend in a contract. And so once an offer has been agreed upon and there's a contract, then the clock starts ticking. So there is always an urgency. So I agree. It would be great if, a lot of the lenders or more of the lenders would agree to do that electronic signing. And really, I will say that the buyers that are out there are serious. I mean, nobody's going to be house hunting during a pandemic and they're just window shopping. And I have a precious couple. They're really a great couple, 2 young kids, and they need to stay in a certain school district. Can't find anything. So, I will say to sellers, this is an excellent time. And really, buyers, the way that I've seen it, first of all, rent is going up across the country. And so people are tired of the whole renting process. And, buyers, they're willing to pay a little bit more for a house, especially now that the interest rates are like at an all-time low.
It's a marvelous time. And it's a marvelous time to borrow on a home, because with a home, you're getting an asset, and you're getting something that is going to appreciate. And you have to look at it from a long-term perspective. And long, I'm not saying 30 years, that you're going to live in
Right.
that house.
Right.
Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 30. But at the end of the day, you're getting something, and you're getting it.
Yes.
Rent is marvelous. As a father of 3 daughters, a stepfather to a boy and a girl, they're all older. And younger in college age. I know the rents that have been paid. I've paid a lot of rents on behalf of those kids, and nothing against landlords.
Right.
That is something that fits. If you're looking for that, that's absolutely a great thing to do.
Right.
But at a certain point, there's a great advantage to home ownership.
Yes.
The independence of it, the tax advantage, as an investment strategy. You're getting something for the check you write every month.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what every parent hopes for their child, is that they're
absolutely
getting the most out of the money they spend.
Yes.
And I do think I agree with you, Lori, completely. It's a challenging time right now, but our title company was in the governor's order deemed essential. And when reading through the order, it's because of our close relationship. Banks don't do their own closings, and lenders don't do their own closings. So we're a part of that wing tied to the lending industry, and transactions move forward. People are going to move forward even during difficult times, because it's the smart thing to do.
It is.
And it really, and with, as you indicate, with interest rates being the way they are, it's a very good time to finance and to get yourself into a good, comfortable home.
Yes. Well, I really appreciate you doing this. This is going to help out. Yeah. So I'm going to bundle up all these series and upload them. And I wish you well, your agency. And I believe you're still moving forward, because, you are essential, like you said. So I'm looking forward to seeing you face to face doing a closing again real soon.
Absolutely. And not without a mask on. How's that sound?
Right. Right.
And perhaps with a haircut.
Oh, me too. And with less grays for me.
Well, the good Lord has chosen to take away a significant amount of my hair, but what he has left looks really ridiculous. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
You're keeping it. You're managing it very well. You're doing good.
Well, you notice I'm not going to bow my head down, because then
right. There's a certain way I don't want the light to hit me, so I understand.
Exactly. Well, thank you for the opportunity. Please stay well, stay healthy.
Thanks. You too. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.